Hello and welcome to today's episode number 14 of the Human Condition Podcast. I'm your host, American Council on Exercise Certified Personal Trainer, Kerry Jones. On today's episode, I am going to be covering the last two blogs, and no, we're not late again. I just posted a blog out of rotation because I just felt like it was really important to bring up. But one is using AI to help you on your health and fitness journey, and the other is talking about the Kinetic Chain. And I am also going to try to do this episode without notes because normally I have notes written next to my camera that I try to follow along with, but I feel like it trips me up and it's not very like conversational, which is what I want this podcast to be, so that, you know, if you're the average Joe listening to this, I don't sound so robotic. So one of the things I had left myself a note for in recording this podcast was I wanted to bring something up that I had heard in the Andrew Huberman podcast where he was talking to Dr. Mike Israetel, I think is how you say his name. But he was asking them a question about why there was such a negative idea behind people using Ozempic or things of that nature in order to help boost their weight loss, or weight loss versus muscle building, etc., whatever the case was. And Mike Israetel said something, and I don't remember verbatim. I should have looked this up ahead of time. He said something to the effect of we have these, not we as in me, you and me, but in general as a population, have these negative opinions of these people using these things because we feel like it's a shortcut and you didn't deserve it if you didn't suffer for it. And that really sat with me super hard because it's kind of true. And I'm not sure where in human nature that comparison comes from, where we feel the need to put our sense of suffering onto other people's lives, because at the end of the day, their choices don't impact you. And so there shouldn't be this whole, if you didn't suffer for it, you didn't earn it thing, because who cares, honestly? My only concern about the whole GLP-1s thing is that it's getting prescribed to people at such a rapid pace. And I feel like it's not well enough understood, or at least discussed with, doctor to patient, the side effects and all the things that go along with it. And there's even the mental impact of the whole situation, and how it's not supposed to be long term, and then coming off it, there's certain things that if you don't do it right, you're going to gain most of your weight back. And so there's a level of education that needs to be had, but in this particular case, it resonates that we have placed this opinion on other people's health and fitness journey, if it doesn't coincide with our own, that they need to suffer for it in order to earn it. And I feel like the same can be said for people who take things like steroids. But again, it doesn't matter in my life. It doesn't matter. And I don't know if you're the type of person that ascribes emotional responses to people you see on the internet, but it's true. It's really true. Let people do what they're going to do. Let people follow their own health and fitness journey, as long as they're doing so safely and they're doing so coming from a place of being, well educated on the topic. But that was a note that I had left myself to talk about on this podcast. I just feel like I might be guilty of that to some degree, which is crazy. But I can see that in myself now. Now that I've heard it out loud, I can see it in myself. But anyway, a little update on the thing I spoke about in the last podcast that had to do with trying to expand my business, and it ended up being not so much a dead end, but there's so much red tape involved in this particular step that I feel like it's not going to happen in any sort of soon or timely manner. So what I'm going to have to do is take a step back and reassess, and then figure out if I can move forward in this direction, or if I need to change directions and pivot. But regardless, I'll still be putting out content. And segue into content, I jumped back on TikTok. I said I wasn't going to do that, but it's so hard for me to watch people get caught up in the negative stuff. And it's like simply because certain influencers or whatever they have the time to post every day or multiple times a day. So they end up being put in front of people more often. And like one of my, I don't even know, guilty pleasures of being on on social media or like scrolling through YouTube or whatever is looking up the videos of influencers being called out for lying or embellishing on their videos, and specifically fitness influencers, because oh my God, does it happen more often than should be allowed? It almost should be criminal when somebody profits off of misleading other people, especially when it comes to their health and fitness. It's like, it's so immoral and corrupt. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that exists within the health and fitness community now. But while I was scrolling on TikTok, I started seeing, um, I don't want to call people influencers because I know not everybody likes the term influencer, but like certain things, like the one in particular I saw, one channel, whatever, not channel, profile on TikTok that I saw that I particularly resonated with was like Scotty K Fitness. And it's just his sense of humor. I love that everything's Fallout and that he's just like a big kid, and that he also like has his content on a more personal level too, because he's trying to help heal wounds and he's being relatable to people all over. And so once I saw that, he puts out that kind of content where he's, trying to be helpful and educational, I thought like, why would I not try again to do that? And I feel like I've been a little bit more successful this time. I can tell you the first time, I don't know what I was doing wrong. I still don't know if I'm doing everything completely right, but I know I'm doing it better than I did before. Uh, I'll figure that out. But anyway, I'm on TikTok again, the human condition. Um, yeah. So anyway, let's go into the podcast about, excuse me, not the podcast, the blog about the kinetic chain. And I feel like it's important for people to understand things, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology type things when it comes to their own body, because once you have that level of proprioception or like deeper understanding at the very least, maybe not complete proprioception, but deeper understanding of movement patterns or things that might be off in your own body, like you can start to address these things on your own. It's really all about learning yourself and how you work and how your machine functions at an optimal level in order to really start heading down this path for health and fitness. But the kinetic chain is, and I'm not going to go in super big detail because in the blog, it describes, there's a picture that tells you major joint groups, and then it also breaks it down into stability and mobility joints, because your joints are categorized by stability and mobility, and they alternate as they go up through the body. And where I think this is important is people can't, like, I'm going to paint a picture like this. You get up in the morning and your lower back and your hips hurt, and they do every single day. You don't know why. You always stretch your lower back and it just hurts constantly. If you were to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself, and maybe that you see like your right kneecap is kind of like bent inwards a little bit, or maybe your ankle is kind of supinated or pronated one way or the other, and it might not be doing a super obvious level, but it's imbalanced from the other side. And what that could have stemmed from was like an ankle injury that you had when you were in high school, or maybe you're like prone to continuously, you'll have to forgive that weird little clipping thing that happened there. This is the first time ever while recording the podcast that my wife's cats would not leave me alone. So anyway, I think I was talking about how like you might be prone to ankle injury, and maybe you didn't realize that it was an ankle injury from years ago that caused such like an imbalance in your muscle, because when you have an injury, your body will favor one side over the other in order to help facilitate healing. And over time, what can happen is if it's not addressed properly, it can actually throw off the remainder of your kinetic chain, because each link will be affected by, the one before or after it. One thing goes out of balance, the next thing goes slightly out of balance, slightly out of balance. And then over time, again, if it's not addressed, it will cause all these ripple effect of issues. And so maybe your hip pain is because you have an imbalance in your ankle muscles or flexibility. But yeah, it's not always the thing that you're looking at directly that's the problem, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, upper back pain might not necessarily be your muscles or your upper back. It could be your lower back, or it could be part of your neck, or, your shoulder injury is from, I'm going to keep rambling on and on. Just know that what you're looking at is not necessarily always what the problem is. And that's not to say that what you're looking at isn't the problem, because you can have an imbalance in your hips that also throws off your lower back, upper back, and then your knees and ankles down and outward. But you have to understand how the kinetic chain works, and then to be able to look at yourself in a mirror or take pictures of yourself, because it's easier to do it, straight on. Take pictures of yourself from straight on and from the side and then from the back, in order for you to be able to see, like, is something tilted this way? Is something bent this way? Are we pronated? Are we supinated? Do we have knee valgus? Like, I really think it's important for people to understand themselves, because when you go to the doctor, like, the doctor's not looking at you from head to toe, unless you're asking for that, or unless your doctor is specifically stating that's what they're doing. What the doctors are doing is addressing symptoms of things. So if you go to the doctor and you say, oh, my lower back hurts, they're going to maybe recommend you to physical therapy, maybe recommend that you see a chiropractor, maybe recommend, that you take this prescription medication or try like over-the-counter pain meds. But doctors, there are so few of them. And I have ragged on doctors in the past by, like, I have to be realistic here, and I have to hold myself accountable towards my opinions of them, because the number of doctors there are in comparison to the number of patients there are is wildly disproportionate. And so it should not be expected that a doctor has the time to address each individual problem, or to really go through the gambit to try to figure out what it is, because, and it's not to say that they don't care, but their job is to address your symptoms, the things that you've come in for, and then to help you feel better. Some doctors are much better about it than others. Some doctors are real bad. But all of that is to say, like, you really should take it upon yourself to educate yourself about yourself. Anything that can happen, anything that can and will go wrong, how it works, like anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, whatever the case is, like, just start learning about yourself. And I'm using this as a segue into the second blog post about using AI, specifically ChatGPT. I can't really speak about any other AI models because I don't actively go and test them for the type of information that they give back. But you have, whether you're on a phone or a computer, access to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is free. And if you have an account, a free account, there's certain tools like analysis of information or whatever that you can use up to a certain point in a day before you run out of it and have to wait till the next day. But either way, it's free. I want to caveat what I'm about to say with, I understand that ChatGPT saves conversations on servers if you don't have the setting changed to not save it. It stores things in memory, whatever. You put on there what you're comfortable putting on there for privacy's sake. I'm of the opinion that anything that anybody wants to find out about me by hacking into my ChatGPT conversations, they probably could have found some other way. I'm just, I don't even know. I'm not conspiracy nut or whatever. I don't think that my information is as private as I should have expected it to be. So I have no fears and no qualms about throwing in a bunch of information to ChatGPT, but not everybody does, and that's fine. Do this if you're comfortable, and then only put in what you're comfortable putting in. The other caveat I need to make is ChatGPT is not a doctor, not a medical professional, not a real person, not a certified personal trainer, but it has access to the internet, to a vast majority of the internet, to such a huge amount of information that it can take what you put in and what you're asking to get put or output, and it can synthesize so many data points into one really digestible summarization that is helpful. And so my suggestion is, and this is free. I want to emphasize that this is free. People will go on the internet and they'll look at the flashy, like, buy my plan or buy my ebook is only $5.99. And I don't really want to talk too much crap about ebooks because eventually I want to figure out how to sell things on the internet in order to keep my content, the output of my content, like TikTok, YouTube, podcast, whatever, free. I want to keep that stuff free. So I need to find a different way to, make an income, but that's future me problem, not current me problem. Anyway, people get caught up in seeing like the guy with the abs who's talking about his, $49.99 fitness plan, or he can promise this if you subscribe to his monthly newsletter, or she talks about, buy my macro cookbook in order. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm not pointing fingers, but people get so caught up in that because they think that's what works. If you market it well enough and you talk about it well enough and there's enough people behind it, you're going to think that that's what works. But you should start. If you're just starting in your health and fitness journey, or you're not sure where to go, you're not sure who to turn to, don't start shelling out the money. Use what's free. Google's free, but there's so much information that you can find on Google or any other search engine that it's really hard for your brain to comprehend that amount. And I can tell you that for a fact because I've been there. I have followed the wrong thing before because it was what was pushed in front of me. My suggestion is, if you're just starting out, if you don't know where to go on ChatGPT and start feeding it data points. Use it as a health and fitness research assistant. So like, you're now treating yourself as a research project. What you're putting in, your height, your weight, body measurements, what you ate last week, how much you slept, whatever. The more data points you can put in, the more information it can give back to you. But all of this stuff that you're putting in, they're data points in your experiment on yourself. And you don't have to do this every day. You can do it once a week or once a month, whatever the case is. It doesn't matter. It's your journey, your experiment. Nobody's telling you how to do this. Nobody's telling you what to do. Do it how, work with it how it feels comfortable to you. But ChatGPT is such a powerful tool and it's free. And I'm not sponsored by them. I don't even know if you can be sponsored by ChatGPT, but I advocate for the use of it for so many things, for a tool. Put all your data points in there. Ask it to be this health and fitness research assistant and help you understand where you're at on your journey, suggestions that could be made, etc. Like, there's so many things you can ask it to do. It'll even, it can even crank out some fitness plans like sets and reps, or, how much cardio you should do. Look at everything objectively. Again, this is not a real person. This is also not a doctor and not a certified health and fitness professional. Take everything it says to you with a grain of salt, but use it as a way to understand yourself better. And then as the weeks progress, tweak things here and there. If it suggests that maybe you need to change some aspects of your diet, like don't ask it to give you a diet plan, but just start doing some research and then make an educated change based on that. Or if it recommends that you sleep more, like now you can do the research to figure out how to sleep better. And so over time, what you'll see is like all of your data points will start to shift and it will help you move forward in a direction on your health and fitness journey. And so in my case in particular, I have a Bluetooth scale, I have a Bluetooth body tape measure, I have my Fitbit, and then I have my what do you call it? My nutrition tracking app called Chronometer. I hope I'm saying that correctly because I don't know. And then any information I can get from like recent blood work or whatever, I will put all of this data into ChatGPT, and I want it to synthesize the data together, and then I want it to pull from research that exists on the internet, and I want it to tell me things about myself. Because as much as I want to sit here and say that because I'm a certified personal trainer, like I should know better and I know all these things, being certified only goes so far. Being certified means that I took the initiative to go and get an official certification and education on being a personal trainer. And then the follow up to that is every 2 years, I have to do a certain amount of continuing education credits in order to maintain my certification. So I am constantly learning, growing, and keeping abreast of current research that courses are built on through the American Council on Exercise. And you can take courses elsewhere that you can petition to have them used as your credits. But they only get you so far, and the rest of it is research. And I love doing research. I love reading the books. I like finding all these things. And so that is how I came across this ChatGPT thing. Was I was curious as to whether or not it could be used as a functional tool for people looking for a free resource. And it is. It works well enough that I would trust it as long as you know what it is that you're asking it to do and the data that you're putting in. I would trust it to help you find the forward direction for your health and fitness journey. And so, yeah, I mean, it's free. I want to see people improve their health and wellness and their fitness all the time. If you're one of those people that wants to spend money or has to spend money on things because you need more structure, that's perfectly understandable. But I know that not everybody has the money to spend on these things. And I really feel like a lot of things these days, it's like gatekeeping health and fitness for the rich people or the people that have money. And it's kind of ignoring the other categories of people that may not be able to afford it. And so most people have phones, most people have access to the internet. And so use this free resource. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this episode of the podcast went more smoothly than it usually does, minus the little interruption from the cats. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try doing it more often this way. I know we're 14 episodes in and I'm still trying to figure out my rhythm, like exactly how it is to do this. And then I'll end up having to switch it up again once, I become popular enough or have the correct setup to have an office where I can have other people come in and do podcasts with other people, because eventually I want, to grow. I want this to grow. So I'm going to keep watering my seeds and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I posted a TikTok today asking people to leave comments if they had questions or comments they wanted me to address on the podcast. And the same goes for every episode that it's posted, every social media post that gets posted, anything like questions, comments. You can send me emails, whatever the case is. reach out to me because I am willing to answer these things for you on the internet, whether you follow me or not. It doesn't matter to me. Yeah. So hopefully we don't get some questions coming in late because it takes me a little bit of time to edit these podcasts and make sure that everything is set up to be posted on time. But in order to prevent my continuous rambling on and on, I'm going to say until next time.